On today's episode of the DeLorean Weekend podcast, we have a demonstration from Kevin Krinn, who is from the Ohio DeLorean Club. He's been putting together a video dashboard system that really does a terrific job of pushing the limits on what the technology can do. The that he's custom designed are really top-notch. So let's take a look at Kevin Krinn's presentation that was filmed at DeLorean Weekend in Las Vegas in October.
I started thinking about digital dashes a long time ago, back when the car computer was a big thing. Back in the early 90s, the only way to get MP3s to play in your car was to put a whole computer in there and try to make it work. So all these guys had all these interesting mods to try to get that to work. So I got into that and just kind of viewing. I never did anything, but I learned a lot. I love 80s dashboards, and then I saw the Tesla Model S, which is pictured there, and I said I want to do this in a DeLorean someday. So that's kind of the inspiration for my setup. These were my first attempts at this style. Way back before I started on this, I was going to do this kind of setup where I had a small screen, and I was going to use a display out of another car and try to build an HVAC system. And this was the interface that I built for the car, which it's a separate program, and I'm not using it anymore, but I use the style in my new interface, the way the buttons work, the way the graphics look, the way it looks like an OEM interface. I can't stand clustered displays with all kinds of stuff everywhere. It's hard to read, so I wanted to make mine easy to see, kept with the style of the DeLorean. I started building my car with Ken Consulate in 2015, last year, October. And we started with the frame. This is what it looked like. It's been sitting in the shop for about 13 years. And we just started with the frame and started moving up. Did a complete engine rebuild. We swapped the body. It's a new frame and a new engine. So there's not much left of 909 except the transmission and the interior. So most of it has been replaced. And so while we were working on this, I was working on my software. It uses a program called Processing, which is a Java-based visual programming language. A lot of people use it to make GUIs and stuff. And this place, I found this guy on YouTube who built this. It's using the exact same program I'm using, and it was where I kind of learned that I think I can actually do this. So I learned how to program. I didn't know how to program at this point. I taught myself to program to do this project. So I've got along with the original, I guess I lost the slide. I have the Proto 1 dash, and I recreated this completely from scratch. I made all those icons in Photoshop because they're not standard icons. They were icons that were specially made for that car. And I have an airbag light and everything. Of course, it's never going to function as an airbag light, but it still lights up during the test phase. So after I got away from the DeLorean dashes, I started looking at other cars that had really cool dashes. And I went up on the Subaru XT Turbo. This is the original car here, and this is a different color. I kind of think it's a modification. So what I did is I changed the graphics to a DeLorean, added a DMC at the top, and then put all my own icons and stuff in there. So I'll give a quick demonstration of everything once the presentation is done. The next one was a Corvette C4, another 80s digital dash that I really liked. So I was like, well, I'm going to go try this. And each time I'd win a new dash, I had to learn something new about how to make the software do what I wanted it to do. So it's all been a learning experience as I moved along. The next one I did was the Honda S2000 2004 AP1. They changed the dash later to a different kind, but I like the way this one looked. So I have this one working, it's fully functional. This one I'm not finished with. I basically have the RPMs done, but this was a Nissan Leopard. It's a Japanese only car. It had this dash in it. It's the only place it ever existed. but I thought it was awesome, so I wanted to do it too. So I've got lots of ideas for other dashes that I'm planning on doing all of these eventually, just because I think they're really cool. I love how they look. That's the older Honda S2000 dash. It's a little bit different. The only reason I'm doing it right now is because that's the car I drive right now, so I just want to recreate that too. Of course, I'm going to try to do a knockoff of the Tesla, using all DeLorean graphics and everything. Other crazy ideas I'm doing is I'm going to do some video game displays. I'm going to do, this is the game Outrun that I've doctored up with the DeLorean. I'm actually going to have that running, so as you're driving the car, the street is moving and the speed changes, and it's, you know, as you turn the car, it'll turn on the street. This is a toy. I don't know if anyone remembers that. It's like a little game driving simulator. And just some other crazy things that I think will be a lot of fun. So the dash screen. I had to source this directly from China. Apparently they use these in subway cars to display where you are on the subway line. It's called a bar display. It was very hard to get and very hard to find. It took about several months of searching, and you know, I had to send them a wire transfer to China, and it cost, just for the wire transfer, $75 just to get the screen, and then it took another 2 weeks to get it. So it was very difficult to get. And then I had a problem with the resolution. It's a bizarre resolution, so not everything could accept that. So again, I was running into problems, but this is the computer that's actually going to be in the car, and it will accept the resolutions. The console screen. It's actually made for automotive uses. It's actually got it from mp3car.com. It's a touchscreen display. A lot of people think it's a tablet. It's not. It's just a regular touchscreen display. Turn it on its side, and they both run off of 12-volt power. And that's where my touchscreen interface runs off of. This is the computer right here. It's a Core i7 processor. I'm probably going to put some more RAM in it. And it runs off of 19 volts, but I have an automotive power supply that's made for this that will run. You can tell it to turn off and go to standby when the car turns off, stuff like that. And it boots in 10 seconds, which is important. My console bracket. I had to design this myself, and I had cut out and bent at a local machine shop in my town. It's made out of really thick stainless steel. It's 4 parts. And my challenge was, as you can see, there's no screw holes in the, there's only 4 visible screw holes in the entire thing from the outside. I wanted the screen to be in there but not be held in by screws, so the whole bracket system holds the screen from the back. I am going to have to redo this because this opening is too far back, so the gear shift hits the line here. So I'm going to move the logo up and move the screen down to the screen reset. This is the screen being held inside the unit, sandwiched between these 3 pieces. And over here you can see the switches I've installed and some early tests of the screen working. The switches are momentary switches, center off, so you can toggle them up or down, and then we'll go back to the middle. These switch guards are NASA reproduction switch guards from the space station. They're just really cool, so I like them, and I think they fit really good. The DMC logo has RGB LEDs in them, so I can change the colors at will and anything I want. And this little screen here is going to be scrapped for a different kind of screen. I'm going to use an OLED screen because that one just isn't working right for me. And there's a little capacitor that lights up when the system turns on. Back to the car restoration, because now is when I started putting the system in place. Here it is the DCS, if you guys remember, it was back there in the corner. Ken's doing a great job with it. Everything's brand new on it. You can see how good the bottom looks. Every bolt in the thing is zinc coated. So it's all a brand new car practically. It hasn't started yet. We're going to do that next weekend. So here's the system going in. Right now it was just kind of laying there on the center stack right there. This is a relay pack, is how I was having it turn the lights on. And this is a couple Arduinos that this is all just temporary. I'm eventually going to put that all behind the seats. I'm going to raise the shelf up about 2 inches and make it a door that lifts up, and then all my computers and stuff will be layered in that, and I'll have a cable that goes back to it. I kind of hurried to get this done for the show, so I could show a lot of stuff's going to be redone. Here's some more pictures of it going in. The screen is slightly smaller than the original cluster, so I do have to make a bezel. I have one that I made out of paper, but eventually I'll make something a little better. It does look a lot better in person. For those of you who have actually seen it, it does look a lot better in person. Pictures just don't do it justice. And here it is just a few weeks ago after we got the doors working, and you can actually see it glowing there in the back. And there it is with the S2000 dashboard on it. All right, everyone wants to know how the signal input's going to work. Well, I'm going to use our Arduinos for that. I've got plans on how to, whether they're going to work or not, I don't know. For speed, I'm going to use a mechanical speed sensor with an optocoupler. Same with the RPM, and that's something that Michael there has done a lot more. The voltage I'm going to read with a sensor. The oil and temp I'm not sure yet, but I think I'm going to read right off the sensor and run my own wires all the way back from the engine and not worry about what the car is doing. The fuel's another problem. I think I'm just going to go ahead and scrap the whole system and use an aftermarket fuel sender. It's just going to work better. I've heard of lots of problems with the fuel sender. Warning lights, I'm just going to read with off the harness, and I'll be putting lots of aftermarket sensors in for different components. My goal is to kind of put as many modern features into the car as I possibly can without major changes to it or changing the exterior. So amongst other things, I'm going to have lane collision departure warning systems, warning systems, blind spot warning systems, backup cameras, cruise control. I might be able to do adaptive cruise control, but I'm not sure. That's something I'm just going to experiment with. Tire pressure monitoring system, a bird's eye camera, which makes like a virtual top-down view of the car and its surroundings. Daytime running lights, built-in maintenance reminders, digital climate control, smartphone access, and stuff like that. All right, this is kind of how the signaling works. So the console is running on the computer, or the whole system's running on the computer, and it's going over USB at a high signal rate. In the meantime, I'm using an IC squared interface as a little mini computer network. And what it can do is the computer can send a command down from here. This Arduino will send a signal, say, to this Arduino, and then it will trip an output via a relay. So if I wanted to turn the headlights on from here, I could press a button and it would send it to this an output. But I can also put sensors on this bus and read them, LED matrices, switches. So another thing, if I wanted to turn on the headlights from this switch, I could use the switch to tell this Arduino to tell this one to turn the headlights on. And it's just a back and forth communication. So this can ask if the headlights is on, and this one's going to come back and say yes or no if the headlights are on. That's kind of how the status kind of works. It's just going to go back and forth. Where do I go from here? Well, I told you I have to recut the brackets and make a new bezel, rebuild that back wall. The HV vent control is going to be very difficult to do. It's going to take some experimentation I might be using servos to control the doors. I might use vacuum switches. I don't know yet. Like I said, we haven't started the car yet, so it's kind of hard to know where I'm going from there. More sensors, lighting mods, power management, and going forward with the software. So this is the software running, and it's the same thing that's running in the car. What happens is I've got 2 monitors in the car, and it spans the program between the 2 monitors. So it's just one big program. Everyone thinks it's 2 things running. It's only one program that's running. So on here, I've got a debug screen that I can go to, and this is all touchscreen. And I can override the signals for testing purposes. And you can see it's moving.
Can you see the fuel gauge over there? It's moving.
Reading.
Yeah, only
88 miles an hour. 88 miles an hour.
Put it to 95 mile an hour speedometer.
Hey, the software could automatically switch to the 95.
That's what I'm going to do next. That's why I want some data on here, sure. So I can go into controls, dashboard. And I can select a 95 mile an hour.
There you go.
What's
that wishful thinking?
I can also,
You'll be able to change it while you're driving if you want.
yeah, I can do anything I want. I can select a 240, or I can select the metric speedometer. And if I want to, I can use the full metric dash. And the differences are, you can notice that this icon has changed. There's a red band here, and there's no descriptions above the icons. And that's how it is on the normal dash.
For the British cars. For the metric cars.
Yeah. And then I can just change it back. I can also remove the, I can make a bezel on there.
Oh,
And
yeah, that's just, yeah.
I can turn off the blue speeds on here if I want to. But I can, touchscreen's open. I can change to the Proto One dash.
That's Proto One.
Wow. Kevin, have you redesigned the dash so you move the gauges so they're not blocked by the steering wheel?
I can do that. They are a little smaller because the screen's smaller than the instrument cluster.
They might not have heard his question.
Oh, he wants to know if I can move the gauges so they're not blocked by the steering wheel.
Yeah.
Yes, I can do that. Here's the Subaru Turbo XT.
Looks like a video game.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I like it. And this one has
Makes it all the more.
that blue color. And I can switch to metric on this one.
Am I jumping ahead asking, are you going to use OBD2 or how are you going to get the data?
That was on that other slide where I was talking about signal inputs.
Okay.
There's no OB2 on the car, so that would make it a lot easier.
I don't know how you're adding and getting the data though.
With running my own sensors is
Okay,
basically.
adding all new sensors.
Yeah. This is the Corvette dash. I'm having a little bit of error with it with the sweeps for some reason. I don't know why.
Now, obviously, it takes a lot of work to, design each individual style of dash. But let's say hypothetically, when this is ready to, be sold as a kit for someone to install, how many different dashboards are you looking to have programmed in there? 10, 15?
All the ones I showed earlier.
Oh, wow.
They don't really, as I've gone along with the project, they become easier to make.
He's got all the pre-built stuff. You can just move it around.
Yeah, I can go back to some older code. And this is that one I was working on. It's not finished.
Possibilities are limitless. You could have someone that, used to be at a train engineer.
Yeah.
He wants to have a custom one for his car that looks like a train gauge or something like that.
That's all it is.
And do something like an airplane dash.
So the last thing I wanted to show was my warning system that I had built. So basically, when I go in here, if I want to change one of these inputs to a warning situation, so I take the coolant temperature all the way up, it's going to show up on the screen if coolant's too high, temperature is too high. And it's also going to show up here where it says warnings, it's going to say 1. There's one active warning, so I can hit that, and it's going to show me which warnings are active at the time. If I do more, I think this is dying.
Will there be any audio to accompany it?
Yeah, I'm
Or
gonna add
warning
that too.
sounds, or even a synthesized voice that'll.
I'll have different sound packs that I can do. I could do like the speak and spell voice if I wanted to, because there was a car that used that.
So you could make it sound like kid if you wanted.
If I had somebody to record the audio files, yeah.
Anyone know David Maslow?
So now I have 2 warnings active, and it's going to scroll between the 2 of those on that message shown. It's going to say the fuel pressure is too high and the coolant's too high, and it's going to show up both on the screen here and the warning screen. And the last thing, it's kind of hard to see on this thing on here. One of the fun things I can do is, if you look at the little car there, you can see that the turn signal's on, but it's also on the little car too. So as you do things in the car, it's gonna reflect that, and I can put it in reverse, and the reverse lights come on. So
Do the doors go up on it?
it will, and I've had it programmed to do it, but you can see it on the first where it does the sweep. The doors do open.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Click here to subscribe, here to watch more from us, and let us know in the comments what you think. See you next time.